If you've spent any time looking into match betting, you'll almost certainly recognize the term OddsMatcher. Every good match bettor uses one, and every good match betting platform has one, and for very good reason. It's probably the most single important piece of software within the whole match betting ecosystem. But why do you actually need one? Why is it so important, and how do you actually use one? Because when you first see an OddsMatcher, it probably can feel a little bit overwhelming and quite confusing, because there's bookmakers, exchanges, percentages, odds scores, SR scores, odds, and hundreds of different opportunities all over the place. The OddsMatcher becomes surprisingly simple, because at its core it has one job: simply compare the odds at the bookmaker and the odds at the exchange in real time, and from these select an event with the closest odds between them. So now that we're looking at the OddsMatcher, it should be somewhat self-explanatory, especially if you have a very basic idea around match betting. Now, for the OddsMatcher, it always presents, if you haven't tweaked any filters, your ideal qualifying bets, essentially. So if we're looking at this table here, let me just walk you through a few of the different rows. So on the far left, you always have the sports. So as you can see, horses. As you get down, there's the England game, so football. On the right-hand side, it will give you the time of the event. So as you can see, this is July the 15th at 5:35. And then here, this is how you can actually find the selection that you want. So this is more the market. So if we wanted to find Rogue Exile, we'd have to go to Bet365 and find the Yarmouth horse racing event at 5:35. Now, once we found that, you'd be able to find the horse Rogue Exile, which you could select, and that should be at odds of 3.5. So for this example, the selection is the horse Rogue Exile on the bookie Bet365. And now, to double check that our odds are right on the OddsMatcher, on Bet365, you just want to compare that the odds on the horse race, on the horse, are 3.5 for it to win. And then on the right hand side, if we head over to the exchange, you want to head to Matchbook. So if you click that, it will open Matchbook and you'll be able to find your event. And you want to double check that the odds on the horse are 3.2. Now, if they are, that will give you an SR score of 109%. So what the SR score means now is just what the bet would return. So as you can see, if it's over 100%, that means it's an ARB. So this is an ARB of basically 9.3%. So if we were to place £100 and then we were to lay it with the given stake, once you open the calculator, that would return £9.03 profit. So that's what the SR score means. And if it was 99% and you placed £100 bet, you would lose £1 because the SR score was 99%. On a £100 bet, that would return £99. So you'd lose £1 overall. So that's all the SR score means. So a quick summary, and it's sort of what we said earlier in the video. The OddsMatcher simply presents the best back and lay odds that it can find. So at the top, you have the best ARB of the current time of the day, and that's the Rogue Exile. So the horse on Bet365 at 3.5 and the lay odds at 3.2. Now, one thing to mention with ARBs is not to get carried away. If you are a beginner, I'd simply completely avoid using ARBs because ARBs can get your account banned. So one thing we can do to avoid ARBs on our OddsMatcher is simply scroll down to max SR score and just put in 100%. So this will reduce everything to maximum 100% and do the same for SNR Score, which I'll explain in a little bit. So as you can see, this completely removes ARBs, which is what I'd advise any beginner to do. Just avoid them completely. So you should by now have a decent understanding of how an OddsMatcher works and why it's so important. But now I'm going to go through an example as if we were completing a free bet promotion, just to give you a better understanding. So in this example, we're imagining that Betway are giving away a £20 free bet when you bet £10 at minimum odds of 2. So the first thing we need to do is place a £10 bet and ensure we don't lose any money from that £10 to unlock a £20 free bet. So let's place our qualifying bet. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the correct filters. Now, we didn't specify an event. That if we were to check the terms and conditions of this Betway offer and it doesn't specify an event, you don't need to select one. But just for simplicity, let's choose football or horses. So it gives us an example. Next, remember I said Betway, so we're going to head to the bookies. We're going to clear all of them. We're then going to search Betway to be given results only for Betway. And then that's that. For exchanges, again, you can use any, assuming you've signed up to all of them and they will work for you, which I have, but for simplicity, we're just going to use Smarkets for this example. Now, markets, we don't really need to choose. SNR Score and SR Score. So what this means, SR Score in the UK, you should only really use for qualifying bets. Now, SNR Score, if you have a free bet, please choose SNR Score, which I'll explain why when we get to free bets. So for qualifying bets, just choose SR Score. Now, remember, we don't want to choose ARBs, so we're going to use 100 here and 100 here for SNR Score as well. Now, the final thing we need to do for filters is we need to change the minimum odds to 2, because remember I said in the terms and conditions of this Betway bet, the minimum odds have to be 2 for that £10 bet. Now, we're going to scroll up and it has a very good offer here of 100% SR Score. So if we place that £10 bet, we're going to get all of our £10 bet returned. So all we need to do is open the calculator for this selection to be broken down. So now we've locked in on this selection, we're going to open the calculator for it to be broken down to us. So we're going to place a £10 bet at odds of 11 on Betway. So you can copy this and head over to Betway and it should open up the bet slip. And then at odds of 11, we're going to lay the horse, our absent friends, on Smarkets. So we're just going to copy that stake. So let's head over to Betway. So we're going to copy this, head over to Betway. That should open up the bet slip. If not, find the horse, and then you'll be able to place that £10 bet. So here it goes. It opens up the horse. So let's get rid of the rest of these because that's from before. So here we have our absent friends at odds of 11. So we can place £10 on there. Now going back, you want to find Smarkets. And again, we're just going to copy the stake, head to Smarkets, and we're going to place that lay stake on our absent friends. So here you place that stake and you'd place that bet. So that's it, that's done. Now in the summary table, it can show you what you would have done. So you would have spent £10 on Betway, and you would have spent £100, so £100 liability on Smarkets. So altogether, you would have spent £110. But no matter the outcome now, because they both have odds of 11, it would have returned £110. So you would have made no profit and you would have made no qualifying loss. So you can see how vital the OddsMatcher is. It finds the best selection for you, presents it to you, you select it, and then it finds the links for the bookie, and the exchange, so you can place it immediately. Now, just to keep a track of everything that you place, we also have a profit tracker. So once you place these bets, I'd save it to the profit tracker so that you can view it later, so you can see how much profit you've made over the last few weeks, last few months, and also track where your money is. So if your money's in Betway or your money's in Smarkets, you can keep an eye on everything. Okay, so now we've placed our qualifying bet, we would have unlocked our free bet. So now we want to be able to place our free bet. So the only thing we really need to change is the SR Score to SNR Score. So as I mentioned before, if you're using a free bet, you change rank by from SR Score to SNR Score. So all SNR means is stake not return. So most of the free bets that you're given from bookmakers in the UK, if they give you a £10 free bet, that means they'll pay out on all of the profit from that £10. So if that £10 free bet you placed at odds of 10, meaning 10 times 10 is £100, they'll only pay out £90. So they won't pay out for the £10 that they gave you on the free bet. So that's all stake not returned means. So when we choose that, it will immediately select higher odds for our free bet and calculate it correctly. So again, you can choose absent friends. That's okay for the free bet, but let's go somewhere differently. So we're going to choose the space streamer for the free bet on the Bath event at 3. So you just want to open that up and do the exact same thing before, except you want to change the £10 stake to a £20 stake because you're placing a £20 free bet. And then you'll simply head over to Betway by copying this, head over to Smarkets, do exactly what we've done before in terms of placing the bets. So the £20 free bet, and then copy the stake of £16.13. And then once you place those two bets, you'll be left with a guaranteed £16 profit. Now you can save that in the profit tracker just like before, and you'll be able to view that. So overall, from the bet £10 and get a £20 free bet, you would have made £16 profit. So now you can understand why an OddsMatcher is just so important, because that sped us up 10-fold, 20-fold, maybe even 100-fold in terms of finding us the most appropriate events with the closest back and lay odds to maximize our profits, which if we were doing manually, there's no guarantee that we'd find the best selections, and it will take far, far too long. So over time, this is what helps you maximize your matched betting profits and speed you up dramatically.